I've studied forgiveness as a psychologist for over 40 years, and I've always wondered how people can forgive some of the terrible things that others do to them. I thought if I could just figure this out, it would help me deal with some of the things that I've struggled to forgive. Perhaps the most serious thing that I've struggled with is the death by murder of my mother. A youth huddled on a New Year's Eve night outside of her home that was dark because she had gone to bed early, no car in the driveway, and there she didn't drive. So this youth probably held fantasies of a perfect crime. He broke in, and when my mom awakened, he bludgeoned her. I remember being taken through the house later and seeing the blood splatters on the wall and the puddles of blood on the carpet. And I knew then that forgiveness can be very, very hard. And yet the good news is researchers have uncovered principles to help people who wish to forgive to be able to do so. And that's what I want to tell you about tonight. But before we do that, we probably ought to talk about what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is actually two things. There's a decision that we make about how we are going to treat the person who's harmed us. We're not going to get even. We are going to treat them as a valued and valuable person. This is called decisional forgiveness. But we can make a decision to forgive, hold on to that for the rest of our lives, and still, every time we think about that issue, we get emotional. And that suggests that there must be a second type of forgiveness, and that's emotional forgiveness, which is the emotional replacement of those negative, unforgiving emotions with positive, other-oriented emotions like empathy, sympathy, compassion, and love, perhaps, for the person who harmed us. These two types of forgiveness are related to each other, but they are not joined at the hip. And so I'm going to treat them differently. So, first, decisional forgiveness. Why would anybody want to make a decision to forgive? Well, it turns out there are four reasons. One, they might see the person apologize, offer to make amends, and that helps them to feel like they want to make a decision to forgive. They may also experience some emotional forgiveness, and that helps them make the decision to forgive. And they also might hold beliefs and values that are promoting of forgiveness, and that helps them want to make that decision. And the fourth reason is that they find out that there are benefits to the forgiver of forgiving. Now, these benefits fall into four categories. There are mental health benefits. When people make a decision to forgive, they stop ruminating, or at least decrease their rumination. And that leads to decreased depression, decreased anxiety, and an increased feeling of well-being. There are also physical health benefits to forgiving. Let's just take cortisol, the stress hormone that's generated when we are holding a grudge. Cortisol can negatively affect every system in your body. It can put you at cardiovascular risk. It can affect the immune system, the gastrointestinal system. It can affect the sexual and reproductive system. It can even shrink the part of your brain that consolidates memories, the hippocampus. Also, their decisional forgiveness will help relationships. If I make a decision to treat the other person differently, they see that. And then they might be more willing to reciprocate. And for some people, this helps spiritual health as well. So let's look at emotional forgiveness. So emotional forgiveness can be captured by an acronym, REACH. There's 5 different parts to emotional forgiveness. Virtually all of the interventions that have been developed to help people forgive have used these 5 principles, and yet they package them differently. So you can see on the screen, we need to remember the hurt. We can't just deny that we've been hurt. We empathize with the person who hurt us, maybe feel sympathy, compassion, or love for that person. We give an altruistic gift, a gift they don't deserve. They hurt us, they don't deserve forgiveness, but we, out of the goodness of our heart, give that altruistic gift. We commit to the forgiveness that we experience so that we can hold on to that forgiveness when we doubt that we've forgiven. Now let's illustrate this with a case. I met Chris Carrier when we were both guests on the Lisa Gibbons show. And I heard Chris tell his story. When he was 10 years old, he was abducted. He was taken off into the swamps in Florida. He was stabbed repeatedly in the torso. And finally, the man put a gun to his head and shot him through the temple, taking out his eye. But Chris lived, and he forgave that person in a general kind of way. 22 years later, David McAllister confessed to that attempted murder. Now, Chris went to see David McAllister, and you might think about what happened in that meeting. Well, Chris forgave McAllister. He made a decision to forgive because McAllister had confessed. McAllister was remorseful. He said, "I'm sorry." So he also empathized and sympathized and felt compassion for McAllister. You can just see by this picture how this draws compassion, and that helped him make an altruistic gift of forgiveness to McAllister. He also committed to this. You see his daughter there. He forgave McAllister in the vision of his daughter, and that helped him hold on to that forgiveness whenever he doubted. Now, McAllister, in his final days, after Chris had been caring for him, this man who shot and stabbed Chris, McAllister told Chris, "You are my friend. In fact," he said, "you are the best friend I've ever had." Forgiveness is powerful. You might wonder if these principles are culturally sensitive. Well, researchers have investigated a 3-hour workbook that embodies these principles in China, Indonesia, Ukraine, Colombia, and South Africa. And what they found with 4,600 people, they found that these principles produced forgiveness in people, reduced depression, reduced anxiety, and an increased sense of flourishing. These workbooks are freely available. They are available in English, in Spanish, in Chinese, and other languages, which makes them free to people about 2/3 of the world's population. Their use can help people heal hearts, can help them save marriages, save families, can help them work for peace. They literally can change the world. But let's get personal. Forgiveness is a choice. It is a choice you can make to make a decision to forgive, to put these 5 principles into practice so that they can heal your heart, your home, your homeland. I've seen this work in homelands like Rwanda, where a genocide took 1 million lives and yet people forgave. In Colombia, 60 years of civil war and yet people forgave. Forgiveness is powerful. You can use this power to change your world by forgiving. One event at a time. So, who will you forgive today? Thank you.